ebb and flow. Morning mind dump with Trie, let's go.
Hi, this is Trie from Morning Mind Dump. What happens when you take an unexpected detour and end up on a mountain highway that leads you straight into your next divine assignment? In this episode, I will unpack how an unplanned drive, a heart-centered convo with a stranger, and a bunch of spiritual nudges that led to deep clarity. We'll talk touch, tarot, Thoreau, and the power of trusting detours. Plus a little juicy poll and an affirmation, of course, for your week. Let's dive into it. Welcome back to Morning Mind Dump with Trie. I'm your favorite hugger on a mission to squiggle through life one intuitive line at a time. This episode is part road trip, part spiritual download, and part therapy. So buckle up and let's literally and emotionally get into it. So let me tell you what happened yesterday. I wasn't planning a soul-searching road trip. I just wanted to get in the car and drive and shake off the day and try to find some fun. But because of traffic, I took a random turn left instead of going to Conway on 16. I did see the sign that said Kangamangus Highway, but didn't know how long it was because I never went the whole Kangamangus Highway. I think I've been up there only like once, and we only went halfway and then we turned around the same way. So anyway, if you've ever been that stretch, you know how pretty it is, and intense. The mountains, the curves, no signal. My GPS couldn't tell me how much farther it was to the other side of the mountain. I started getting a little bit anxious. I didn't veer off, even though I saw some really pretty spots that I wanted to like stop, but I really was just anxious and I just wanted to get on the other side and just keep driving. But that long 1 hour mountain drive felt like a metaphor. And by the time I reached the other side, I wasn't just somewhere new. Well, I've been there before. I got to the end and it was North Woodstock. Yeah, Lincoln. I stopped, I had a drink somewhere, and then I was on my way. I didn't want to go home quite yet, so what I did was I hooked into the internet at the restaurant. The guy at the bar, he was like, yeah, we're not having music till like 5 o'clock, and it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm not going to wait around for that. I'm just going to keep driving. I said, I think I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do like a circle from where my house was back to it. So I decided to go to Meredith, New Hampshire. After I went to the restaurant, got my GPS working again, got back in the car, went to Meredith, and I pulled into this parking lot. It was a pretty busy parking lot, but there was one spot there. Yep, that's for me. I guess I'm staying here for a little bit. And so I walked around and asked somebody where would be a good place to eat. They said the town docks, I think it's called, which was kind of cool. They had sand all around, so of course I had to take my shoes off and be grounded. So I sat myself up on the bar because I don't want to get a table just by myself. And this woman came and sat next to me with her friend. We had a total soul sister moment. We were around the same age, both graphic designers. Actually, I went to school for early childhood development and changed my major to graphic design. She went to school for graphic design, then changed her major to psychology, and now helping with children. So kind of the same but different. But anyway, instantly dropped into a conversation about touch and physical connection, how important, and then we talked about, of course, hugs and how comforting and healing they are. My artist name was Huggatry, and I told her that's why I hug people so much, because I know it's healing and I get to hug. I got her twice, and it really made my whole day because I am now not traveling and keeping my energy to myself right now. And I do miss hugging a lot of people when I used to have a chance, and not hugging people right now is, I miss it. But anyway, that's not what this episode is about. Again, sorry for the motorcycles. So yeah, when we were talking about kids and how we didn't have kids and we weren't going to have kids, there was this man on the other side of the bar talking about balance and how he navigates his time with his 6-year-old daughter, and have fun for himself. So he's like, yeah, she's off at camp. I'm in my boat having fun. Now I'm here having dinner. And, we all had a moment. And I found myself wondering, would I date somebody with a young child or any kids? And would that be a deal breaker? I can't have children. And I'm not sad about it, but I often wonder sometimes how life would be different if I was a mom. I never dreamed about it as a child, though. Probably because the way that I grew up and my mom was a single parent and I just didn't want to have to go through that same thing, so I didn't aspire to be a mom. But yeah, I was like, no, I don't think somebody having a child would hinder my want to get to know somebody. If they were a good father and they're a good person, and they're open to growth, yeah, I would consider it. But here's where it gets more mystical. This is the woo-woo part. I got home, I crashed, it was like 8 o'clock. I was really ready to go to bed at like 6 o'clock, but I stayed up for 2 more hours, and I'm like, just stay up till 8 o'clock, and then, then I crashed. Of course, I only slept 4 hours. I was up by like 11 with all these thoughts storming in my brain, and of course I had to write it down. So wrote it all down. And by the way, I started doodling at the restaurant. So I started this, and let me get it. So that's the doodle that I did. This little guy going upwards, and my download later, Rise Up, came up. But anyway, I got home, had to write all the words around this doodle that I had. I went back to sleep, and then I woke up again at 7:12 a.m. And if you know me, if you've listened to other episodes, you know that I pay attention to numbers and signs and synchronicities. And so a couple things about 7/12. It was my mom's birthday, which just passed. And she's no longer here on the earth, but she's here with me. I wrote union because I hate labeling it as a twin flame thing, but yeah, like 3 years ago, I bumped into somebody. I hugged somebody 3 years ago on the 21st of July, and after I hugged this person, I messaged them and said, I think we need to be friends. I feel like we need to be friends. And they were like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that. Anyway, we never really had conversations in this past 3 years. Very limited conversation. But yeah, there was this it was like when you put two magnets, but like the opposite way. And so you're like pushing and pushing, and another one's pulling and pulling, and it was so weird. It's like, why? I don't even know. I still can't even fathom why this connection was like that. We didn't know anything about each other, but yeah, it was like one time hug is good, and then another hug time is like no hug, and I was on hug restriction for a while. I call it hug restriction, and then I was lifted off hug restriction. But again, we never had a conversation. No feelings were brought up. Well, only by text a couple times. Anyway, maybe I wrote down union because even though that date is coming up on the 1st, which is I think Monday, I've been working so hard on myself, and because one of the things that this person told me was, what world do you live in? I was devastated actually when this person said this to me for the first time. I was like, in what world do I live in? Now I'm like, yeah, I live in my own world. Each and every one of us lives in our own world. We do things that we feel are our truth, and that we feel like things that we believe, trying to not be specific, right? I'm going off on a tangent now. But what I want to say is, on this day, I think when this is being aired, is the 21st. And that is my hugiversary from my twin flame, if you want to call it twin flame. A couple years ago, I labeled it that because I needed to make it make sense. Like, I needed a logic of why these feelings were happening, right? So you try to diagnose yourself, right? Label things, make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. It kind of makes sense to me now because of all the growth that I've gone through since that time. And I don't need the label. I know that this person and I have a soul connection, whether they acknowledge it or not. That's not the purpose. The purpose of a twin flame is to love yourself and be the best person and evolve for you. And actually, as a bonus, by doing that, the other person's supposed to be gaining some of that, and vice versa. When they work on themselves, then I'm supposed to be gaining whatever they've learned. So, because we share the same soul, one soul, two different bodies, so connected, same soul, same energy, same radio station. I wasn't going to go into all that, but here I did anyway. So yeah, it's a significant day for me every year for the past 3 years. And that was a catalyst also. I started because I felt vulnerable and I felt like I needed to talk to this person and tell them everything about my life. and they didn't show any interest of wanting to know anything about my life, but I insisted. And then I realized I need to stop that. And then I came up with Born in Mind Dumb podcast. So again, grateful for this person who, even though this person is not in my life physically, energetically, I really do feel like if we did sit down and have a conversation, we probably would find a lot of mirroring in our lives, which, you know, I hoped one day it would be nice to have a conversation with this person. I don't feel like I have to, because I already know my truth, right? But my purpose was to have this podcast so I can talk about my feelings so that other people don't feel alone, right? Occasionally I look at tarot readings on YouTube. One of my favorite readers mentioned pages 10 and 26. So when I got up at like 11 o'clock last night, I started gathering all the books in my room, going through each one of them, and I checked those pages, and that's when I came up with Wake Up, Miracles Are Natural, The Final Turn in the Road, Rise Up, Magical, Travel, Tennessee, On Walden Pond by Thoreau, and then the song I Believe in Miracles came in my head. So I started singing, You Sexy Thing. So I think right now, after all my ramblings, we take a pause, take a breath, do an affirmation. Let's ground ourselves. Let's say, I trust the detours. I receive the downloads, and I am open to love, healing, and miracles today. Let's say it. Let's feel it. Let's believe it. I do trust detours. I take them a lot. I think I talked about before in another episode about me driving to Arkansas, and literally the whole entire trip was not planned. I mean, I had a destination, that was it, but everything in between was because of signs and synchronicities, and then I would take that information, go to the next place, and then I'd take that information, go to the next place. It was pretty fun. It was like a scavenger hunt that I didn't know I was getting. It made the trip a lot more fun, right? Especially because I was by myself. But yeah, so that song, I Believe Miracles Came, You Sexy Thing. And I mean that in the most soulful way, because I believe in divine timing. I believe in sacred alignment and sexy love that's deep and rooted and reciprocal. Emphasis on reciprocal. Because I'm so tired of giving and not getting the same exact in return. I struggled with that before, giving myself and not receiving, and it's draining. It's draining when I do that. So I step back and I don't do that anymore. And there are a lot of people that are not in my life anymore. Oh, so there was also number 33. That has been coming up a lot lately. 333. And that's a master number of guidance, compassion, spiritual growth. So maybe even a little nudge from the spirit that I'm exactly where I need to be, even if I don't feel like there's an outcome yet. I do struggle with that a lot. Like, am I doing the right thing? I'm sure I'm not the only one that goes through stuff like that, right? So let's do a poll, because I want to hear from you guys. I don't want to just talk, even though it's, like I said before, it's very therapeutic for me. But do you believe in detours that are divine? Yes, no. Sometimes, no, you just like the straight and narrow path. Anyway, I'll have that poll on Spotify, and I'll have it in YouTube here in a community post. So yeah, you can vote. Oh, and I'll have it on Instagram at Treetopia, and that link will be in the description box. So what are my closing thoughts? Sometimes it's the unplanned routes that bring you face to face with your next assignment, or maybe it's just someone who needs a hug. I know I needed the hug. It had been weeks, I think, and that's too long for me. I'm just saying. The Kangamangus Highway taught me that every mountain has two sides, and sometimes the circle route brings you back to yourself. So keep trusting your path. Keep hugging with intuition, and keep believing in miracles, you sexy thing. I will catch you next time on Morning Mind Dump with Trie. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to my podcast on Spotify and here on YouTube, because it will help my channel grow and get my downloads out to other people. The more I do this, the more I learn. That's all I wanted to share. Again, if this resonated with you, or you think somebody can benefit with this information, this journal entry that I did is on Instagram. I think my Facebook is attached, but I don't really go on Facebook. And it is in YouTube community post. So maybe there's some information there that you need to hear too. Anyway, much love and hugs. Have a great day.